Welcome back to Wargaming World, and you joined us really at the end rather than the start of a game of Chain of Command, Swift to Support, which is in France 1940. And the objective of this particular game is that this German attacking force was to take this point here, which was the crossroads, taking out and taking a jump-off point in this particular building, in this terraced house, and then on to this hotel. However, after a lot of video and a long game, actually it's a bit of a stalemate. Now, I know that because we've got the German tanks here and it's just knocked out a Matilda 2, it's quite likely that we could continue the game and take out that particular building here, etc. But instead, I'm going to actually start a new game on the basis of the information that we know from here. So the jump off points will be slightly different from a standard Swift to Support game. I'll set this up differently, and then we might have potentially some either artillery or a Stuka attack, something like that, and we'll slightly change the board and run a new game which includes both the French obviously and some BEF support, and go from there. So I thought we'd start from the end of a previous game so we get a context of why the board is set this way, and we'll go from there. It's the end of a previous battle, and the Germans are clearing away with their armour the French, who have held valiantly this crossroads and building, but unfortunately the call of the attack, the bomber attack, has meant that the French have withdrawn. However, they've withdrawn in fairly good order, and we'll regroup. And so our new game, which will follow, is going to be a French counterattack. And I'm going to move the board slightly further on, which means that the hotel will no longer appear, but we're going to have a little bit more of the table at this end, as we have a French attack to see whether the Germans, who've taken quite a hit in casualties, can hold this position. Right, this is the subsequent game of Swift to Support, or Chain of Command, and we have the French here now on the attack. They have 3 jump-off points, just one here towards the end of the board, one in this building, they're all marked by the blue Wargaming World dice, and the third just here. So this is the area that they control currently. However, they need to attack and take the 3 jump off points of the Germans. The first is in this particular building here, the second is on the other side of the road here, and the third is over here at the sort of the station. However, what you'll notice is that the Germans have been able to make a bit of a defence here. They've got pioneers with them, and they've set up a barbed wire fence and some entrenchments. So we'll see how that impacts the game. And the area which we didn't have beforehand, which has now been brought in just behind the station, is the mill and the river as well. So that's the game. We'll start in a moment. We've done the morale phase, and it's 8 for the French and the Germans. The French will have the first phase, as they are the attacker, but before we do that, we'll just go through the detail of the 2 forces. The French attack is led by 2 senior officers, one inferior of the other, One VB section, 3 sections with a light machine gun and 8 rifles. The support is also the R35 tank. There are unreliable allies in the form of a British section and a Bren carrier. The German motorised infantry, it has 2 senior leaders, one with a submachine gun, 3 sections with an MG34. There's also a mortar team. Their support, which comes on the second turn of the game, is an engineer section and a Panzer II. There's also an adjutant as well. Right, first phase to the French. See how we go. And straight away we've got a double phase, 2 and 2 1s. With the 2, we've gone from this jump off point and occupied this building here. So we've got the light machine gun, the rifles just at the front there, and then we've also got at the back we've got that 4 rifles support, so it'll give them some fire over this open area. And advancing here is with the 2 1s, we put them together, and we've got another section coming forward, moving away from this jump off point. So it's the French phase again. Okay, so it's a house rule that I take away one of the dice. If I have a second phase, third phase, etc., I deduct a dice each time. It's not in the chain of command rules, but as I say, it's just a house rule. So a second French phase, and we have another double phase with the 2 6s, 1 chain of command dice, and a 4, which is the senior leader. Okay, so with the 4, I brought on this senior leader, just close to this jump off point, and in fact there's a jump off point in this building as well, so there he is. Still a French phase, just 3 dice, and 1, 3 and a 4. Here we had a 1, a 3 and a 4, so with the 3 we brought on the R35, so that's going to come and give some fire support. With the 4, we've got our senior leader here, who's just moved a little bit further forward. It ordered this team to move, and they have done tactically, and it's put this section on Overwatch. I know I've marked them with bolt action dice, but it's just a mark that they are, so they're on Overwatch. And then with the 1, we've got a British Bren team come in, and that's the end of the French phase, and off to the Germans for the first time. Okay, German phase, and a double phase straight away. We've got 2 4s and a 1, so therefore one of the advantages I've got with the support is that I have an adjutant for the Germans, so I think we will bring on the 2 senior leaders, and also one team. I'll have a think about where we put the senior leaders, and put that out in a moment. Right, well, our first senior leader is here in the station, and he's going to take command from that particular jump off point there, and the second jump off point is here in this particular building, I should say. And also with the 1, we're going to have a team here firing out on the French unit here. Okay, MG34 needing 5s. Okay, and that looks like just 2 hits. 4 5 will be shock, 6 to kill. And that's 1 kill. Is it the leader? No, it's not. Second phase for the Germans, and that gives us 2 2s, a 1 and a 3. With the 1, I brought on the mortar, and that will fire in a moment, and then with the 3, I brought in the junior leader and the remainder of this particular section, and the machine gun and the rifles are going to fire again the same French target. Starting off with the mortar, needing 4, 5s and 6s. That's nothing. Okay, this is the target, and we've got 14 dice needing 5s. Looks like 1, 2, 3. 3, is that all? Yep, 3. Okay, 4, 5 will be shock, 6 to kill. And we've got 1 point of shock, and that will be on the rifle team. Right, so we're going to do anything with the 2 2s, so it's the French phase. And that's 2 for the chain of command dice, and 2 2s. Well, we're going to put the 2 2s together to make it the senior leader, so it's the 4 who's going to order this section to fire, this section to fire also at the Germans who've just been firing a moment ago, and take off the point of shock. Right, with this building we're looking at 4, 5s and 6s, because it's within 18 inches, 4, 5 and 6s to hit. Looks like there's plenty there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hits. So first of all we'll have 3 on the rifle team. That's 2 points of shock. And 2 on the machine gun team. That's 2 dead. Let's see if it's the leader. Yes, it is. Now, is it the junior leader or the senior leader? 1, 2, 3, it's the junior. It is the junior. And let's have a look and see what happens to him. He's killed. So that's 1 roll for the bad thing happens. That's a 2. Let's see what that is. -1 down to 7. Okay, so this time this unit firing, it's 5s this time to hit. And it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. So we'll start with 3 on the rifles, and that's 3 points of shock. And 2 on the machine gun team, and that's a kill. Let's have a look and see whether that's going to be the leader. Oh, yes it is. And what happens to the leader? The leader is knocked unconscious, and that's the senior leader. So that's another roll for the bad thing. It's a 4, I think that's a -1, so I'll have a check. Yep, that's a -1, so it'll see the Germans down to 6. Hey, German phase. 1 to the chain of command dice, a 1, 2 2s and a 3. Well, it's really difficult at this point to think what to do as the German player, particularly because this unit in here has now lost the senior leader, who's unconscious. The junior leader's been killed. There's 5 points of shock on the rifle team, and the morale's down to 6. So with this order here, do we retreat? Do we think, well, I'll tell you what, we could lose the jump off point here, maybe even the jump off point back there, knowing that the French have got to take all the jump off points. The third is all the way back here. We could maybe have a retreat to that position. We don't get our support until it becomes turn 2. Can we really afford to begin to continue to fight against, a full unit in here, and 1 down here, and then there's also the BEF in this particular building? Or alternatively, the French are still fairly fragile. Their force morale is on 8. Only takes a couple of rolls with leaders being injured where they're in a difficult position themselves. And it's a difficult one. So for those watching on, how would you play? What would you do in this position? Standard fight, or make a withdrawal to the station and see if we can get into turn 2 and work from there? Anyway, let's see. Right, well, I posed the question on what you might do, but what's going to happen is with the 2, the whole section is going to fire at the French here, out in the open, and we will then use the support to have the mortar, fire, and with the 3 I've added a new unit. So we'll have the junior leader come in and fire at the building over here with the French in it, start to add a little bit of support and see where we go from there. It's really a choice here. The Germans in this building, if they fire here, then it's close range, so it's a 4, 5, 6 to hit. If they fire here, it's a 5 and 6, but it's more effective because these are in hard cover as opposed to soft cover. So I'm going to stick here and say we'll fire on these with 5s and 6s. We've got 14 dice, let's see how we go on. Not particularly well. I think that just looks like 3 hits. Okay, so black is the rifles, white is the machine gun. 2 5s is 2 points of shock on the rifles. Right, we've now got this unit firing, so we've got another 14 dice. This time we're looking at the same again, it's going to be 5. Just got one more. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got a kill on the rifle team, and nothing else. Is it the leader? No, it's not. Mortar. That's 2 misses. French phase. And 1 for the chain of command dice, that takes them up to 4. And a 1, a 4 and a 3. Okay, I'm going to talk this through. With the 4, the senior leader has ordered the Bren team to fire, and in addition to that has ordered this team to move tactically, which moved 5 inches, and in addition to that we're going to take a point of shock off, so that's the 3 commands there. In this team I'm going to just have the machine gun fire with the 1. I could have put the 1 with this R35. Now why I would have to do that is because it's moved, and in addition to that, if we wanted to fire we would need both a 3 and a 1 because of its small turret. However, I'm just going to move because if I fired from that I'd probably just use 3 HE, and with the machine gun in here I can use 6 dice, so that's what we're going to do. We'll start though with the Bren team needing 5s, and that's 1 hit. It's going to be 1 hit against the rifles in that building, and it's a kill. So let's see whether it hits the senior leader who's unconscious. No, it doesn't. Needing 4s with the French machine gun, and we have 3 hits. Blue is the rifles, and it's no effect at all. German phase. 2 to the chain of command dice, that takes it up to 3. A 2, 3 and a 4. Right, well, with the 2 we're going to fire at the French in the open. I just realised that what I should have done is last time when I fired with the rifles I should have deducted it by 2, because with 5 shock it should have been 2 less rifles, but anyway, that was an error made. However, I won't miss that now, so we've got 3 rifles effectively and 8 with the machine gun, so needing, sorry, still needing 5s. I was just measuring out whether we needed 4s or not, but anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. 5 for shock, 6 to kill, because the unit here are tactical and in soft cover. So let's see how we go. Black is the rifles, and we've got 1 point of shock on the rifles. Okay, the unit back here, firing again at the French in this building. 5s and 6s to hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this time. White will be the machine gun team, and we've just got a point of shock on the rifles. Back to the French this time, and double phase. We've got 2 1s and a 4. Good roll. It's a French double phase, and to start off with, we have with the 2 1s, this unit's come on, and now with the 4, the senior leader is going to order that section to fire. He's going to order that section to fire, and he also ordered this unit to move, and it did for 11 inches, so that's quite an advance. Now, although I've ordered this section to fire, I think I've been making an error somewhere along the line, that actually I've been firing with all of the figures, where in actual fact you can only fire with some firing out of the windows. So although that order's gone, I'm not going to fire from there, but I'm going to say that it's an order that's not been used as a penalise the French there for this particular phase. However, I am going to fire with the 14 dice from here, which is 6 for the machine gun. You've then got 4 supplementary rifles and 4 further rifles. So yeah, 14s firing here, needing 5s. Okay, 5s needed. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. Right, 5 for shock, 6 for kill. The blue dice is the rifles. So we've got 1 killed with machine gun, 1 killed with the rifles, and 1 more shock. Need to check whether it's the leader, and it is. And what happens to the leader? It's a further wound, but I believe if you take 2 wounds, then he might be killed. I'll have to check. Well, the way I've been playing it is that actually a second wound is a kill, so therefore I'm going to see what the outcome is. That is a 3, which I think is a -2 to morale. Yep, it's a -2, and that takes the German morale down to 4. And it's another French phase. Just 1 dice. So we've got 2 3s and a 4. Right, with the first 3, this unit has moved at the double. The junior leader ordered them. He got 7 inches, so it's very close to this building now. I think realistically it's not in combat because there's no real access into that building. So although they're within 4 inches, realistically they're not in combat. The other 3 we've moved up the R35. It can't fire, and it's moved here. But with the 4, the senior leader is going to order this unit, the Bren gun, and this unit all to fire up here at this suffering German unit here. Start here, 10 dice needing 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. 5 for shock and 6 to kill. The green is the machine gun team. 1 more shock for the rifles. Needing 5 for the Bren team. 3 hits. Green the machine gun again. 1 more shock for the rifles. And for the remaining French unit, needing 5s, 14 dice needing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4. Then 5s and 6s, and we have 2 shock on the machine gun team, but significantly we have another on the rifle team, and the rifle team is now down to 4, and it's shock at 9. It will automatically break. So the effect of team breaks at 1 is no effect. Right, with German morale down to 4, we're down to 4 dice. And not that great. 1 for the chain of command, so that takes them up to 4. French phase next, and so we've got a 2 and a 3. Right, with the 2, we're going to withdraw this unit, otherwise they're just going to get wiped out, presumably by the French down here. So they're going to move, otherwise we're going to lose our force morale really quickly. And the other 3 there will be the junior leader who will order that unit to fire. Okay, Germans firing, needing 5. This needs to be a good roll. I think we've only got 3 hits. Yes, we have. So that will be on the rifles, and there is no effect from that fire whatsoever. French phase. We have 2 for the chain of command. That gives a whole chain of command dice. 2 4s, and then it's the Germans next. Right, with the 4, this unit's going to move, the Bren team's going to fire, and the whole section's going to fire up here. This section here will fire at the retreating unit under there. We'll need 5s to hit, but they're in the open once they get them. 5s to hit. And that looks like 2 hits. Green is the machine gun. And that's 1 of the rifle team are killed. One team needing 5s. That's 2 hits. That's the Germans by the station. And hard cover, there's no effect. German phase. 2 2s and a 3. Okay, so following the video, you'll realise that I now know that I've made an error, and it's the senior leader wasn't killed with taking a light wound. In fact, it should be that their command is reduced by 1, and it is a bad thing. But the bad thing should just have been a -1 and not a -2, and the fact that he's still alive. And I'm going to try and correct that by by increasing the force morale back to 5. And although we have already had a roll where it was just 4 dice, we have this just at the second, and I'm going to add a further dice into it because the Germans would have 5, not 4, and that's significant because the Germans would now have a double phase. So I'm going to correct that. It's not too late to do so. We'll see that when the unit moved out here, the machine gun team, they didn't drag him out. I've assumed that he was killed. It's been quite a chaotic area there. But yeah, the Germans now have a double phase. And remember, this unit, the machine gun team, have removed. They haven't broken. And it's just this team of 3 here who have broken. Okay, right, on with the game. Right, we had a 3 and 2 2s. So with the 3, this unit appears within 6 inches of the jump-off point, and it will fire at a very close range, but it's not 4 inches away, so it's not close combat as yet. So it's going to fire at this French unit in the open. So that's one of the command initiatives for the junior leader. It's also going to order for a grenade to be thrown. So the fact that they're slightly bunched up as well, I'm going to reduce a couple of riflemen can't fire, so that sort of counteracts the grenade being thrown. However, the junior leader will also fire. He's got a submachine gun, so that's 2d6s. Sorry, that's 2 dice to be rolled as well. So right, okay, let's see how we go on here. The grenade. So the grenade needs to be more than 5 to hit because we're 5 inches away, and it does. So that's 2 hits. So 2 hits in the open will mean 1 point of shock and 1 kill. Is it the leader? No, it's not. Okay, so needing 4s. looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. 2 on the rifles, 2 on the machine gun, black being the rifle team. And that's 2 killed in the rifle team and 2 shock on the machine gun team. Is it the leader? No, it's not. However, there is a team wiped out with the rifle team, although there is no effect to morale. And we have the 2 over here, so we've just got the whole section to fire back up into here, and we are looking at 5s to hit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 hits. Okay, so 2 on the rifle, 2 on the machine guns, with black being the rifles, and we have a point of shock on both teams. Right, it's the German phase again, just like the house rules, down to 4 dice. I know we have 5 ultimately, but there we go. This is the next phase. 1 addition to the chain of command dice, a 1, a 4 and a 3. We're going to have more or less exactly the same. I'm tempted to attack the French here, but we don't really need to bother, so we can just fire, throw a grenade, and see where we go. I have over here we've got the 4, so the senior leader will order for this group to fire again, so it's more or less exactly the same. But we do have a 1, and with a 1 we can have the mortar fire as well. Grenade, needing, that's absolutely fine, so that's hit, so 2 hits in the open, but that's no effect. Right, so I'm going to say all of the Germans can fire more or less there from against the French, and we're needing just 4s to hit. Let's have a look there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 1 hit on the machine gun team, and we have 3 kills and 2 points of shock. Is it the leader? Yes, it is. And what happens to the leader? It's a light wound. So we have bad thing happens, and a 1 I think is no effect. Mortar, that is 1 hit, but no effect. And finally we've got the group by the station firing, section needing 5s, and we have 4 hits. 2 on the rifle, 2 on the machine gun again, and nothing happens. French phase. Well, that's not great. We've got 2 for the chain of command dice, and we have German roll next, and 2 1s. Right, with the 2 1s, after pondering about this for a while, I'm going to fire with this team at the Germans, well, obviously, and with the other one I'm bringing in the new VB team, close to the jump off point there. Half effect to start off with, but I think in the long run it's going to be more effective, so let's see how they go. VB team first, leaving 4, 5s and 6s. We've got 1 hit. Let's see the impact of that, and a kill. Is it the leader? No, it's not. And the machine gun team needing 4s. And we've got 1, 2, 3 hits there. Right. We have 1 kill on the rifle team and 1 point of shock. Is it the leader? No, it's not. German phase. Pretty good roll. So we've got the senior leader, 2 3s, 2 and a 1. Right, things really haven't worked out here, I think, for this particular section. The idea I had was to come out, fire, and then go into combat. I chose not to. Fired again. This time I've now become a target, so my choice really here is to whether to just fire to try and get rid of that team or to attack, but either way I think I'm going to lose this particular section, and if so I think the Germans are going to lose the game. So in an all or nothing dash, I think I'm going to go into close combat with this unit, so that's what I'm going to do with that 3. Same as last time with the 4, this section's going to fire, and with the 1 I'm going to fire with the mortars. See how we go. Right, mortar, 4 5s and 6s, and that's a 4, so we've got 1 hit on this unit back here. That's the target, so let's see what the outcome of that is, and that is a kill. Let's see if it's the leader. No, it's not. 5 again for this section, firing the troops in the building here, so 5s. See how many we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a bit more effective. 3 and 3, that being the rifle, so we've got 1 point of shock again for both teams. Right, we've got melee taking place. We've got 8 plays 15, so 8 for the Germans, needing 5s and 6s for a kill, so let's see how we go. So, actually pretty well. So we've got 4 kills, 3 of them being shock, additional shock. 15 for the Germans, and 3 more here. Needing 5s and 6s, and we've got 1, 2, 3, oh, just 3. It's a French victory, but, we say but, we'll just have to see what the consequences are. First of all, there were 4 casualties with the French against the Germans. Is it the leader? Yes, it is. Let's see what happens. And the leader's killed. The other way around as well. There were 3 casualties against the French. It is the leader. And the leader is knocked unconscious. Right, the end of that brutal hand-to-hand combat means that the French have broken. This team has broken with 6 shock, and they've dragged their unconscious leader away, and we'll take a test for team breaking in a moment. However, the Germans lost and bounced back 6 inches. They have 2 teams, both with 2 for their shock, but with the leader also being killed, we're going to have to take a test there also. Okay, right, so French team break, that's a -1, so their morale will go down to 7. For the Germans, with the junior leader killed, that's a 1, that is also a -1, they'll go down to 4. French phase. Pretty good roll, 2 1s, 2 2s and a 3. Right, with the 3 we're going to move the R35 down the road, see how close we can get to this particular jump off point. We're going to have the machine gun team only to fire. With the senior leader, we're going to take a point of shock off that machine gun team. We're going to have the Bren team fire at the retreating Germans, and this unit to move, and with the other one we're going to fire with that VB team. Right, the R35 is eventually going to go 8 inches. VB team, 1 hit, nothing happens. This machine gun team is now firing at the Germans by the station. So it's 5s to hit with 6 dice. and we've got 4 hits. 2 on the rifles, 2 on the machine gun team, and green is the machine gun team. And we have 1 shock and 1 killed. Is it the leader? No, it's not. Last but not least, the Bren team. The firing long range is a 5, so we've just got 2 hits. Seems to be 1 on each team, green being the machine gun team. They're in the open. It's a point of shock with each of the team, so they're now both pinned. With 3 shock on both of those teams, they are now pinned. German phase with 4 dice. Double phase, and also significantly they've now got a full chain of command dice, and that means we're going to change the turn, take it to turn 2, and the Germans can start getting support, including their Panzer II. Right, we've now got the team here. That's going to be the senior leader orders that unit to fire again, and needing 5s. And we've got 3 hits. So the white dice will be the rifle team, no effect. Right, it's the end of turn 1. So, a number of things we can look at. We have to remove this team because they've broken. We're going to check whether the British, as unreliable allies, disappear. So we'll test that in a moment. We also have the change where the senior leader, who was unconscious, now wakes up. I'll also have a double check on the rules in terms of the French leader was knocked out, but it was the junior leader of this group, so I think we're lost with that one. This group here, they break, or were breaking, and therefore we'll have to remove them from the board. Significantly for the Germans at this end, now we can have the support coming on, so the Panzer II will come on via the railway track, and we've also got a pioneer group, so we can bring them on as soon as possible. So at the start of phase, or the second turn rather, it's also the German phase with 3 dice, so let's see how we go. Let's test first to see if the British are unreliable. Yes, they are. So that means that British section, we're going to have the whole section removed. So although we only have a team that's come in here, the Durham Light Infantry are going to move to a different action. I can still bring on the Bren carrier, which hasn't actually entered the board as yet, but we're going to lose this particular section. Right, German phase, 3 dice. A 3 and a 4. Suddenly this game is getting a little interesting. Right, with the 3, we brought on the Panzer II. We'll see what impact that can make. And I'm going to use a different senior leader this time. With this senior leader waking up, now within 9 inches, he's going to take a point of shock off this machine gun team and both of these 2 teams, so they're no longer pinned. Let's see how the French go on here. The game suddenly got a bit more tricky for the French. Let's have a look. Oh well, we've got 3 chain of command dice and 1 senior leader. Right, senior leader is going to order this team to move at the double, and also order the whole section here to fire again at the team, which are the Germans all the way down here by the station. Okay, 10 dice needing 5s. And we've got just 2 hits. Green will be the machine gun, and that's nothing at all. German phase. 2 1s and a 3, so with the 3, no doubt we're going to move the Panzer II, and that'll move 8 inches. And with the 2 1s I'm going to fire the machine gun team at the French advancing in the open, and I'm also going to fire the mortar at exactly the same target. Mortar first of all, and that's 1 hit. And 2 points of shock. Right, the machine gun would normally have 8 dice. We've got 2 points of shock, so we lose 1, so we have 7 dice, needing 4s to hit. And we have 3 hits. So 2 on the rifles, 1 on the machine gun. The blue being the machine gun. And the machine gun loses a man, that's 1 killed. 1 point of shock on the rifles. Is it the leader? No, it's not. French phase. 2 senior leaders, 2 2s and a 3. A good roll. Right, this game's getting pretty close, but with the 3 here for the French, tank's going to move as quick as it can down the road, see how close it can get to this jump-off point. We've then got, so that's the 3 there, we've then got a 2, so this whole section is going to fire again at the troops at the station. With the 4, I've got 2 4s, I've brought on a new senior leader. Now that's only got 2 command initiatives, because it's an inferior leader. However, it's going to order the VB team to fire. It's going to fire at the target that it did last time, which is over here, which means it can use all 6 dice this time. Then we're going to use this senior leader is going to move and is going to take some points of shock off here, and then with the remaining 2, this section is going to fire again at this target. Right, the first move is that the R35, I rolled 3 dice for that and got 16, so it's not quite 4 inches to the jump-off point there, but it's very, very close. So yeah, it's now also very close to the troops at this end, so we'll see how that goes. This senior leader actually took 3 points of shock off that section here. That section's going to fire in a second, as is that one. But I'm going to start off with the VB team. VB team needing 4 5s and 6s. 2 hits. The effect is 4 dice in the open across the 2 teams. And that's 1 kill from each team. And in addition to 3 is also 1 shock. 1 2 3, it's the machine gun team. No, it's the rifle team. Right, 13 needing 5s. And we have 1 2 3 4 hits, I think. So they're in the open. 3 4 will be shock, 5 6 will be killed, black will be the rifles. And they're both wiped out. So it's 2 teams wiped out, which is 2 bad things. Six and a 2, just check that. Let's say -1 and the Germans down to 3. And finally, 10 dice. Firing at the Germans at the station, needing 5s and 6s. Oh wow, look at all that. Oh, good grief. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 hits. 5 will be shock, 6 to kill, and the blue dice is the rifle team. And after all that, it's just 1 point of shock to the machine gun team. Fairly desperate stakes now for the Germans, and down to 3 dice. 2 3s, that's helpful, we can bring the tank out, but yeah, just 2 3s in total. Right, with the 2 3s, we're going to have the infantry fire again at the French, but we've had the Panzer II move 6 inches, and I think we're in a desperate state for the Germans, so I'm going to see whether we can have them a go at the R35. So let's see if that fires and hits. I think that's definitely a hit. Right, the armour piercing of the Panzer II is a 3, the defence, or the armour I should say, of the R35 is a 5. Right, so let's see how many 5s and 6s we get with both. We get 1 hit with the Panzer II, and we also get a 1 with the French. So let's see what the consequence is. 4. Let's have a check. Right, well, as a consequence of that with a 4, it means that the R35 will halt and engage next phase. French phase. Right, 1 for the chain of command dice, which takes them up to 2. We're going to engage that Renault again, so the 1 and the 2 will be a 3 for that. In fact, we might even use a subsequent 1 so that it might move also. And then we've got the senior leader. Right, does it hit? That again. It's a 1 and a 6. Have to double check. Right, so this is a hit. So it's a 3 for the French armour piercing against the armour 2 for the Panzer II. And that's nothing. So because it's equal, 2 is nothing happens. Right, well, I don't think I can do anything with the other 1 because the R35 isn't going to move. I wanted to move it towards that jump off point, but that's not going to happen. So instead, with the 3 command points here, the senior leader is going to order this section to move at the double towards that building, for this section on here to fire and to take a point of shock off. Right, with this section, 9 dice needing 5s. I've got 1, 2, 3 hits. 2 against the rifles in blue, 1 against the machine gun in black. 2 rifles killed. Is it the leader? No, it's not. The end phase. 4 and a 3. So we'll see the Panzer II fire again, possibly move, and then yeah, we'll see the infantry firing again at this building, I suspect. Panzer II fires and hits. So we've got 3 against 5, both looking for 5s and 6s. Nothing from the Panzer, and again nothing from the French. Let's see what the reaction is. Well, it was equal hits of 0, so a 6 means that the Renault will reverse 1d6 and take a point of shock. So that's 1 inch. Again, it's the machine gun, and now 3 rifles from the station, needing 5s, and just 1 hit. The consequence is nothing. New French phase, and good roll is that 1, 2, 3 and a 4. Right, the game as it stands, we've got a 1, 2, 3 and a 4 for the French, but we need to remember that the French need to take 3 jump off points. 1 here, 1 here, and 1 back here. Okay, so that's the objective. At the moment, in terms of force morale, they are on 7. They've got 2 chain of command dice, and the Germans, well, they're on 3, no chain of command dice at all. However, the French, the infantry is this unit here and 1 here, and the Germans still have their support in terms of their pioneers. They've got a section back here, and there's really a duel between those 2 tanks. So let's see how things progress. We're going to start here. Let's see if the French tank can hit the Panzer II. No, that's a miss. Right, the senior leader is going to move, so I need to see how many inches that's going to move. 5 inches. Right, it went 2 inches. Sorry, it went 5 inches, and it's still not near enough to give an order to that unit, so it's a little bit stranded. So we've got a 2 and a 1 remaining, so I think we'll have a use of our VB team at the back here, and then, as before, 2 will be the section firing from there. Right, this is going to be the last grenades from the VB team. It's the 4th time they've fired, and they're going to fire all the way to the station, which is the extremes of their range. It's about 58 inches, but that's how far we can go, and that is 2 hits. 4-5 will be shock, 6 to kill, and no effect at all. 9 dice with this section, needing 5. And we've got 1, 2, 3 hits. 5 for shot, 6 to kill. The green is the machine gun team. No effect. German phase. German roll, and that's not so great. Needed a 3 really, but anyhow, that's where we're going to start from. 2 4s, so both senior leaders can operate, and 2 for the section. So a terrible roll there. We had the senior leader ordered this team, this machine gun team, to move, but they rolled a double 1. So I've just moved that building slightly, so that at the door there he's taken a point of shock off, but they haven't gone very far. The senior leader will get the point of shock off this team and order them to fire once again. 5s again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 3 on the rifles, 2 on the machine gun. 5s for shock, 1 to kill, and that's 1 killed, which is a member of the rifle team. Is it the leader? No, it's not. French phase. 1 for the chain of command, 2 3s and a 2. Right, the tank will fire again, and this time it's a hit. So it's a 3 with the armour piercing against the 2 of the armour of the Panther 2. Let's see what happens this time. Absolutely nothing, with the Panzer being fine. Only 8 dice here, because this time the rifles are pinned. So 5s and 6s again. 1, 2, 2 hits. Machine gun green. Nothing happens. Here with the 3, the junior leader orders the section in through either the front door or the window, or whichever way they want to. So I'm going to roll 2 dice, deduct the lowest number. It's also going to take a point of shock off the team, so let's see whether they're going to be a success. So 4 inches, I'm going to say they're more or less smashing the windows and entering into that building. German phase. 1 to the chain of command dice, 4 and a 2. Right, with the 4, the senior leader has ordered the 2 machine gunners up the stairs. We rolled a 3 and a 1, got rid of the 1. 3 inches is as far as they could get up here. I would like them to throw a grenade out of the window, but because they've moved, normally that's half effect, so I'm going to say we can drop 1 grenade out of the window onto the French below. So we just need to make sure that we roll above a 4 here to see that the grenade works. Close, but yes it does. And in the open, 3, 4 for shock, and 5 and 6 will kill 2 people, which it does. Is it the leader? No, it isn't. Yet again, we're going to have this team firing up at the French team in here. 5s. 1 hit out of all that, and no effect. French phase next. 2 to the chain of command dice. A 2 and a 4. Right, I think we've got to the crunch point of this game. So 4 and 2 1s. We've got the senior leader. It's just rolled 11, so you can get near enough to this unit here. It's going to order it to move, get into close combat, which I think we can do, and it'll take that point of shock off. So although he won't be involved, we've got that section. It's about 6 men left. I'll work out how we do it in a second, but to fight there. That leaves us with 2 ones, and although I'm tempted to move the tank, I'm going to make it very simple and just see with the 2 ones will fire with this section again. Right, this section needs, not surprisingly, 5. And we have 2 hits. And it makes no impact. So, let's see what happens with the fight. First of all, we need to see how far they can actually move. Let's make sure they can move close enough. Yeah, I'm sure they can. Right, so it's a 5 or 6 for a kill, and 6 is additional shock, although I'm not sure how many people are going to be left after this this battle. Let's count that up. The result of the game, or the result of this action, is that the Germans win. The French, losing by 1, are knocked back 6 inches. So I think they're going to try and get out of the building. I think that would make more sense. In terms of their force morale, they'd have to take a test for team wiped out, and also a junior leader taking a wound. So that's 2 rolls for that. However, because they've got 2 chain of command dice, I'm going to ignore both of those. As far as the Germans are concerned, this team is wiped out. So that's a test there. We also lose the senior leader, but again, let's make sure what happens to the senior leader. Well, if he's going to be knocked out again, I think one way or the other, he's going to certainly have to take a morale test. That's 2 tests for the Germans. We need to do 2 tests. We'll start off with team wiped out. 3, that's going to be a -1. And we've got senior leader wounded. And that's a 5, so that's -2, along with the -1 for the team wiped out. It means that the Germans are down to 0 on force morale. French victory without, as yet, taking any of the jump-off points, but that's the game. Right, I'll just clear this up and then just give a summary. Well, that's the end of the game, and a really enjoyable game, and yeah, we had lots of different stages to it, but eventually the French have managed to overwhelm the Germans in this particular building, although they themselves have withdrawn. The French were fairly lucky early on with the rolls for the Germans, as they lost the leaders, etc., and the morale dropped fairly early on. We didn't get to fight for this jump-off point, and the engineers had set up a good defensive position here, but well, we never got that far. So that's the end of this game, and probably will be the last game for 2019. So for all subscribers into Wargaming World, I'd say thanks very much for watching the various videos that have come out on YouTube. I really appreciate it, really appreciate the feedback, and also a special thanks to Travis and all those on Tabletop CP, where all the inspiration has come from initially, and some great suggestions. So yeah, if you want to leave any feedback or subscribe or anything like that, then thanks very much. But for the remainder of this year, I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, and have a fantastic break and holiday and New Year. We'll speak again in 2020.